All right, whenever you're ready, Moriah, you can go ahead and get started.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, so our lesson objectives for today is to warm up on a concert B flat, F, and chromatic scale on select rhythms from the Washington Post March. During tuning, we will tune at a 95% accuracy. Then we will sight read the Washington Post March with correct pitches, rhythms, and expressive markings at 120 is the guided quarter note with 80% accuracy. And at the end of the class, we will perform it at 95% accuracy. So if you'll please go ahead and take out your warm-up. It should have my name on it, and your instrument card just says Peer Teaching Warm-Up 1. And let's go ahead and do warm-up number 1. Let's go through it one more time. And there is an F in the last measure. I accidentally left that off. I'm sorry. Let's really make a difference between the two articulations that are marked. So for the accents, make sure you're using a heavier articulation, and the staccato a lighter articulation, and of course separation between the notes. So one more time. Very nice. All right. Let's move on to exercise number 2. If you'll notice, this one is in 6/8 and it's in the key of concert B flat. This rhythm is very prominent in the Washington Post March, and it needs to have a light, playful feel. So da 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 da, and so on and so forth. Let's see. Very nice. Let's go on to exercise number 3. As you'll see, it is a chromatic scale, and it is starting on concert G. All right, and if you'll notice, the rhythm in the first part is the same as what you just played, but if you look coming back down the chromatic scale, it's slightly different. So it's da 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 da, and I included this in our warm-up so that we could practice releasing off of the tie. All right, this is another rhythm that's prominent in the Washington Post March. So let's read this as well. Let's also pay attention to dynamics. Let's make the crescendo and the decrescendo go all the way across. Let's not have any sudden blasts or dropouts. All right? Try it one more time. All right? Once more. Alright, very nice. Let's go ahead and move on to the march. So this march was written by John Philip Sousa, who was born in 1854. He was the conductor of the Marine Band for 12 years, from 1880 to 1892. Once he finished his time with the Marine Band, he left and he formed his own band, the Sousa Band. This march was composed during his later years as the Marine Band conductor. It was composed in 1889. And the origin of this march was to sponsor an essay contest by the Washington Post-Times, the newspaper. So they share the same name. This march is in 6/8, and during the time, its historical importance was it became the dance for the two-step. All right? It was popular in both Europe and America. So, quickly, just glancing through the piece, go ahead and make note of where the repeats are. Each section is repeated. Just make sure that your eyes know where to go. We do start in the key of F major, and we do modulate to the key of B flat major, starting at section D, which is the trio. All right, let's do a run. Nice reading. Very nice. All right. Let's start at the end. Go ahead and start there. The stinger at the end was nice, but it was very close to being on the verge of too loud and too splatty. So let's start. Let's see. Let's start at letter F, okay? We'll actually start pickups into letter F. All right, and so this will be the last time through, and so this time will, of course, be forte, very loud, very proud, very march style. For the stinger at the end, if you have an accent, I would like you to use a ta articulation. That way the note is not ta, okay? It needs to ta, it needs to be released nice and light. If you have a marcato sign, so a triangle pointing upwards, I want you to use a d sound, so slightly harder front to the articulation. All right. So let's start pickups into letter F. Let's see. I'll give you 1, 2, 1. Does everyone see where we are? All right. 1, 2. Much nicer. The ensemble had a much better balance to it. Continuing to move backwards, let's work on the dogfight section, which is at letter E. If you heard during the run-through, it is a column response between low winds and high winds. So let's work on on pickups into the break strain section. And the first time around, okay, I don't want everyone to start at fortissimo, okay? My pattern will be smaller, and so if you start around a piano, mezzo piano, and then we can grow during the crescendo section and just make the piece more musically interesting. All right, so let's start. This would be the second ending for y'all, so pickups into E. Is that clear? All right, I'll give you 1, 2, 1, same as the last time. 1, 2. Once more, I think we can start even softer and crescendo more through the chromatic scale, the ascending chromatic scale. Also, just a quick note, the first time that we go through section F, which is the trio section, we will not be as loud either. So we will crescendo up during the ascending chromatic scale, drop back down, and then on the repeat, do the same thing, but remain at that top level to end with a bang, all right? One more time, pickups into E. Start even softer. 1, 2. All right, much nicer job. Let's go back even farther, okay? So now we are looking at section D, okay? This section is different from the rest of the piece because it is the lyrical section of the piece. It's still march-like, but there's a more legato feel to it. So let me hear people that have the melody here. So that would be does everyone know what they play? Okay. If you're not playing, please sing along. Or review another part of the piece that you struggled with. Okay, we will do pickups into D, so 1, 2, 1. 1, 2. Awesome. Nice job, nice job. You felt the phrasing in there, you followed what I was giving you, very nice. Let's add everyone into that, so if you cannot hear what is just played, you are too loud, you are not the melody. The only exception to this would be cello, because you do have sort of a counter melody with the half notes and the dotted quarters, so feel free to bring that out, but everyone else, alright, pickups into D, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2. Very nice. The balance was very good there. Let's do the same thing again, but this time we're going to treat it as the second time of this section, okay? And what I'm wanting for this section is the first time we play it to be about a mezzo piano. The second time, I want it to be even softer, okay? So it's kind of different from what you're expecting to hear. You're expecting to hear soft the first time, loud the second. We're going to change that up. So the second time, I would like us to play it as if it's the second time, so we've already done the repeat, and going into E so that we can practice that transition into the dogfight section. All right? Pickups into D. 1, 2. Very nice transition. All right, The introduction I felt was very strong. We came in with a nice sure sound at fortissimo. However, I do think that we need to run it because we are all in unison, and if we're not using the same articulation and release, it gets to sound muddy, even though it's unison. All right. So for this, this is exactly what we played in warm-up number 3, the same rhythm. So da da da, ba da ba da ba da. Okay. And actually, I would like you to separate these notes with a ta articulation. Ta ta ta, ta 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 ta. Okay. So make sure that you are releasing off the tie on beat 1. Okay. Let's just try this. Just the introduction. I'll cut you off. Alright, very good. Now that last note, I would like everyone to play it as a chord. Let's just play it at mezzo piano. I heard a funky note in here somewhere. So just breathe with me and play the stinger in measure 7, which is 2 before B. Okay? Does everyone see what note they're going to play? Alright. Alright. I guess my ear was playing tricks on me. Same thing for that stinger. When you play it, we don't want an explosion of sound. So the articulation that you use at the end of the piece, use it at the beginning as well. Okay? One more time, the introduction. Okay? That was much better on the releases and the separation of notes. Very nice, very nice. Okay, looking ahead, let's go to measure 26, which is letter C. Okay, this is the second strain that is introduced. All right, I would like to work on the 2 melodies that are in this section. So, those who start with the melody, so bum 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 bum. If you have that part, please play with me. We will do pickups into C, so 1 2 1. 1 2. Let's start again. Let's start again. Let's start again. All right. We'll take it a little bit slower. 1 2. All right, much better. Trumpets. Let's see. Trumpets. I'm hearing some funky notes in there. So just check your pitches. It should be decent. Now I would like to hear the people that come in with the counter melody, so the 8th note people. So let's see. The trombone, and we'll go ahead and have cornet too. Okay.
At C?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if I could have second cornet, trombone, and also tuba in as well, just so that she's not playing by herself. All right, same thing, pickups, and we'll go a little bit slower. 1 2. So whenever you have that 8th note figure, obviously that's important, and the other melody that is playing has a sustained note. So melody people that have the sustained note, you can back off, okay, because that 8th note figure needs to come through, and y'all are doing a wonderful job crescendoing that as well.
Okay. All right. I need to read it.
Run it? Okay,
Yeah.
let's read it. All right, let me check my tempo. Nice job, thank you.
All right, super, and I agree, it was a nice job. I thought for both of you all today, very well prepared for what you wanted to achieve. I thought Moriah was really outstanding in her feedback too. I hope y'all appreciate that. I mean, she knew exactly what she wanted. It was clear, it was musical, and she systematically worked through it. I mean, it was a seamless lesson that she just gave, and that comes from exceptional planning, putting the kind of time in. That was a really nice job. The other thing I'll say is Moriah is a former high school drum major also, and you can tell. And so her physical gesture is much more fluid than if you're only now in conducting. So when I'm talking to several of you all who are only in conducting, that's where you are. You just need more repetitions, you just need more time for that to become fluid and all. That was all very nicely done, her preparation for that. And you do that in a mirror with a record going, those sorts of things. So just a very musical, very well organized lesson that you did. I thought that was nicely done. On another note, if I may say, anyway. Just a couple of things. The first is, I'm still on a student teaching cycle, so you've turned your letters in. I'll get to your letters as soon as I can, but it may be a week or 10 days, I figure, honestly, because I have to do all the paperwork for the student teachers first. The second thing is we're very grateful for our volunteers who have come. We're very grateful for Christian. He's really helped all of you all out for that. I will note that, you all have a responsibility to each other. To be here. It's great when everybody's here for you, and unless you're sick, you should give the same consideration to everybody else as well. So we have one more to go. I think we have a few volunteers coming in, additional, on Friday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure, Zane, that we know what toys are needed for the percussion, because I may or may not have all of those. So that's really important for his piece. It's going to be for that. All right, really, really good job today, ladies. For that, y'all do your work. Your jobs, okay, get your stands back, get your chairs back, the other side. Good.
You guys want your cards to back?
And nothing goes out of here. Nothing goes out of here.
Anything of mine that you decide.
Yes, I need it.